Hey, Happy New Year's! Thank you for stopping by our channel on today. Hey, you're going to be in for a treat for today because in today's video, we're going to discuss a new website that we released called DonorWatch.org. This website allows you to follow the campaign contributions made to elected officials. You get to look for those individuals that made the contributions. You can search by their city, state, zip code. You can even search by where they work. It will actually display a list of individuals who made campaign contributions to the elected officials. Now, this idea came about because I got an actual text one night, and the text actually sent me an indicator that said, hey, do you have a website for which we can go look at the campaign contributions made to the elected officials? And I went on the Election Commission's website, and on this website, I started looking, but it wasn't user friendly. And I found out they had an API that existed. And so what I did, I actually created a more user friendly website that's intuitive, that allows you to look for those campaign contributions made to the elected officials, right? And so it's more easier, it's simplified, and it's more intuitive. So stay tuned to this video because we're gonna go over the website with you. Okay, we've navigated over to DonorWatch.org. It's our new product website that we recently released. And so what we're gonna do now is navigate to the middle of the screen where the search criteria is to execute the searches so we can see where the campaign contributions were made. So starting out, right, we have the recipient's name. This is where the campaign contributions are made to the elected officials. The donor's name, this is, if you wanted to actually search by who made the contributions, you can do that, but that's going to pretty much extend your search criteria out. So when I usually search, I leave the donor names blank, but I do put in the recipient's name. So I'm just going to go over these fields with you before I even execute a search, right? And so the donor zip code, this is one of the common most fields that I actually use to put in the zip code. The donor's employer, if you wanted to actually perform a search by looking for a list of employers for where the actual donors made contributions. So for example, let's say if I work at Home Depot and you put in my name, right? So you would put in, or you put in my zip code and you want to look at all the individuals who made contributions, who work at Home Depot, you have that opportunity to do that, right? You also have the opportunity to search by time period, right? I usually leave this field blank when I perform a search, but you do have that opportunity to put in a time period, as far as range of years. You put in the donor city, that's a search criteria option, the donor state. So that gives you an opportunity to, of course, search by the state. So let's start out, right, with our first search criteria, and I'm just going to put in Trump, right? And so I'm just going to put in Trump, and what's going to happen is going to pull him up because the way the search is set up, once you start typing in a name, if that name exists, it will pull. You have the opportunity to select it without typing the whole entire name in, right? And so for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to put in zip code 30328, which is the Atlanta area, right? And so I'm going to put in Atlanta. I don't have to, but I'm just going to put it in, right? Because the zip code is sufficient. And of course, the state is Georgia. And so what I want to do is just look at all the contributions that were made to President-elect Trump, right? And so what's going to happen is going to pull up all the donations or all the contributions that were made to his campaign from the 30328 zip code. And so what's happening now is pulling the data from the Federal Election Commission's data source, right? If you denoted in the first part of the video of the intro, I denoted that we, pretty much created this site because it's more user friendly. It's easier to search from the Donor Watch website. And so as you can see, these are all the individuals that made contributions, right? And so if you scroll to the very bottom, it tells you that this is one of 30 of 601 entries. So there's a total of 601 entries for zip code 30328 for the Atlanta metro market area, right, that have made contributions. Right. So if I were to click on any one of these individuals' name, it has a source. It gives his first and last name. It tells you it's a primary election, right? And it gives you the receipt date and the contribution amount, right? So if I click on it, right, it tells me, his name, again, the Atlanta metro market area. It tells me his occupation as a mortgage broker. It tells me that he's self-employed because this is information that he's filled out. And it gives the year-to-date contributions, right? It says that he's given $300 year to date. And if you go down to the bottom, he most recently gave $50, which this is what is displaying on the website, right? And so it gives a date and it tells you the form details. So if I were to click on open document, right? If the document exists on the Federal Election Commission's website, it will open a PDF document. If the document does not exist, it's going to give me an error message. And that's not an error message on the Donor Watch website. It's telling you on the Federal Election Commission's website that the document does not exist. There's some type of error. So if I click open document, right, I get an error message. So if you see an error message come up after you click open document, that just means the document does not exist. So we're directing you directly to the source on that, right? And so I'm going to clear that out. And now what I want to do, I just want to search, change my search criteria. I want to change it from looking at President-elect Trump to pretty much I want to look at, the candidate, Kamala Harris, right? And so I'm going to X out Trump, and I'm going to put in Kamala Harris, right? And so search by our last name, and I'm going to hit search, right? And so now the search criteria has changed. I left everything else the same, but now I just want to search on Kamala Harris. So what it's doing now, it's going through the data and pulling the data, source data for Kamala Harris. And so that's what's happening now. So you can see the spinning icon here is just going through, searching through the data. If there's a lot of data, sometimes it can take a little while, but for the most part, it's not going to take an extensive amount of time here. It just take, a couple seconds. And so again, I have a lot of data here, right? So all the contributions that were made to Kamala Harris, right? And so scroll down to the bottom. It tells me one of 30 of 2,329 entries. So there were a lot of contributions made. So scroll back to the top, right? Same information, source of information, gives you the source name, the recipient, which is Kamala Harris Victory Fund, right? General election. Gives you the receipt date and the contributions amount. So I click on this individual's name, right? And it tells me, again, still pull the same information up, the name, the location area. It tells me that they're not employed, right? So if I click on open document just to see if there's a PDF document that exists for this, I'm going to click open document and a PDF comes up for this individual. And so it gives you, the extensive detailed information in terms of the contributions. I'm not going to go into thorough details in the document, but the same information that we reviewed from the site, it's just really putting it in the PDF format if you wanted to look at more extensive details on that. And so just wanted to let you know that. So as you can see on one of the individuals, the donors that I looked at on President-elect Trump's donors, one of the donors that made contributions to him, there was an error message. It's not going to be an error message on a lot of the individuals, but it's just going to, if the data does not exist on the Federal Election Commission's website, or there's something wrong with the data, some sort, where it's not going to open the PDF, you're going to get an error message. That's all. So just wanted to note that. So let's close this out and close this out. And so now what I want to do, I want to add another search criteria, right? I want to now look for individuals that work at Home Depot who have contributed to President-elect Trump. So what I'm going to do is take Kamala Harris' name from this recipient, and I'm going to put Trump's name back in, right? And I'm just going to take the zip code out, 30328, and I'm just going to leave it, with just the Atlanta market. I'm going to take the zip code restriction out, and I'm just going to put in Home Depot now, right? So Home Depot comes up, and I'm going to perform a search because I want to see all the individuals in President-elect Trump's campaign who work at Home Depot. So you have that option to filter it by employer, right? And so what it's doing now is searching. It's taking a couple of seconds here. It's going through the data. And now, again, I get to see the individuals who work at Home Depot who gave to President-elect Trump that live in Atlanta, right? And so just going through here, and I see that Andrew Engel, if I click on his name, right? It says that his location, again, is Atlanta, Georgia. He's in zip code 30301. So as you can see, you saw why I removed that zip code restriction, right? Because it wouldn't pull Andrew up. So it's telling you he works at the Home Depot. It gives his year-to-date contributions, right? So if I click on open document, I'm just curious. Let's see if there's a PDF document that exists for Andrew. Again, I get an error message for Andrew, right? So there's not a PDF document that exists for him. So if it did, it would have opened up. So now we see the option to pretty much search by employer, right? Where the individual works. So now what I want to do, I want to save my search criteria, right? In order for me to save my search criteria, I have to have a registered user's account, right? And so I'm going to click Save Filter, right? And so what happens is asking me to log in. So as a new user, if you don't have an account, you will have to enter your name, email, and password, right? And so you just fill that information out, and you will come back and click log in, and pretty much put in your information, right? And so I'm going to put in Tom Baker, right? Because I know that Tom Baker has an account. I'm using this as dummy information because I have a dummy information registered for this account just for demo purposes, right? And so I'm going to put in my password here, right? And once I put the password in, hit login. And so what it did, it saved my search filter, right? So if I click on Save Filters here, it's going to pretty much take me to the Home Depot search filter, right? And so scrolling down, that Home Depot search filter is coming back up. So whenever I come back, I do not have to perform that same search again because it's pulling the Home Depot search filter up. So again, that's the whole purposes of that, right? And so, so just wanted to, denote that. And just appreciate your time today. And, definitely use the website, go through, look for, various aspects, if you want to look and see again, who contributed or where they work or what campaign got, received money, you have the opportunity to do that. So just thank you for your time. And, we'll definitely keep you apprised of all of our future upcoming product releases. Hey, so if you enjoyed today's video, like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you in our next upcoming video release.